So we got a mood weed. I broke there. What just happened? She's trying to create this automaton. I can never say that word, automaton. Hello, everybody. Look, my lights are back. Isn't that so exciting? Oh, I miss them so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with week 3 of Bookoplathon. So, we are here to start the next vlog. It is later, much later, on a Saturday, because I basically spent my entire day reading and or doing videos. So, we actually do have an update to start the week off with, because if you remember from last week, I'll leave the vlog up here if you haven't seen it yet. I didn't finish the very last book I needed to, and that was Hitched to a Gunslinger by Michelle McLean. But I finished it today. So like I said, I'll have my vlog linked above or down below if you'd like to check it out, because honestly my feelings haven't changed. It got 5 stars. I adored this book. I thought it was so great. I don't want to rehash my thoughts again and again in every single video, so please check that out if you haven't already. But like seriously, this book was incredible. I loved it. I thought the characters were amazing. I thought the romance was so believable. Like there was literally one aspect of the book that I buddied with this with my friend Taylor, and we kind of agreed on it. And there's really only one part that we were both like, I don't really know if that would have happened. And like, I'm not sure if taking that aspect out of it would have changed the story a whole lot, but it was just like, it was one thing that we were like, that felt a little rushed. But otherwise, it was great. I loved this book. I'm definitely going to be checking out the sequel to it. I'm definitely going to be checking out more stuff by this author. The next time we go to our used bookstore, which is where I got this one, I'll see if they've got anything else by her. Because like seriously, she, like even in her bio, she wrote this thing that she likes to write her romances with little heat, a lot of humor, and always a happily ever after. And that's exactly what this was. I mean, there was heat. I mean, you're going to have romantic scenes in a historical romance. But it was relatively lower compared to, like, other books that I've read. The humor was fantastic. Seriously, some of the best banter I have ever read. And it was super cute, and I love them so much. So, yes, highly recommend her stuff. Highly recommend this book, which is a Western. Might I add, again, that like I didn't think I'd like a Western, but here I am liking a Western. So I loved this book so much, it got 5 stars. So that was in for the prompt of favorite genre, which is for historical romance or just romance in general. So I adored that book so much. So now we need to do another roll. So let's do that real quick. All right. Next roll we landed on favorite genre. So let's see. Ooh. 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. Daggone, I did it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, a mood read. Oh, yay. Okay. So we got mood read, which is perfect because I've actually been reading another book kind of on the side, and I was really hoping that this prompt would fit it because, like, I want to finish this book. And that is Being Mary Bennet by J.C. Peterson. This is it's not a reimagining of Pride and Prejudice. It's a contemporary story that has, like, aspects that's related to Pride and Prejudice. So we follow our main character, Marnie Barnes, and she is the middle sister of 5 sisters, just like Mary Bennet is from Pride and Prejudice. And she is basically like, some stuff happens at the beginning that she thought she was like the leading lady of her own story. And some stuff happens at the beginning of the book that makes her realize that she might actually be Mary Bennet. And she's like, no, I refuse. And so she kind of goes on this adventure to not be Mary Bennet. It also takes place at the same time as like she's doing this, it's called like the Hunt Prize. She basically goes to like a private school, I believe in San Francisco. And her dad is like someone fancy with like engineering or mechanics or something like that. And everyone who goes to the school has like very famous and very rich parents for one reason or another. And so she feels like she's kind of living up to her older sister who won the Hunt Prize and like did great things and is like a documentary, like she does documentaries and like is incredible. And Marnie feels like she is always being compared to her. And so she's like, I'm convinced to have a better project than her. And so she comes up with this thing called Bark Books because she works in the library. And so they've teamed up with a local animal shelter and basically they have kids come pick books and read to adopted animals. It's supposed to help kids with literacy, and it's supposed to help like get the word out about these animals that are ready to be adopted. And so there's a guy named Will who's in charge of well, it's kind of like her liaison at the animal shelter, and they have chemistry, and I love it. But there's a lot about this book that is representative of not Mary Bennett, but like Pride and Prejudice in general. I am a little over halfway through, but like I'm obsessed with this and I want to finish this book. So I'm gonna pick this one for my mood read. And there's just a lot about this book that I love, and there's a character in here that we don't realize until I think about where I am, that he's kind of a Wickham, but the minute he showed up, I was like, he's going to be a Wickham. I had this suspicious feeling. But the one thing that I think is fascinating about this story is that even though it's very loosely based on Pride and Prejudice, and like it's not even based on it, it's just like a book that like takes bits and pieces from the story, and has like our character talk about it. But all the sisters have the same names, like start with the same letter. So in Pride and Prejudice, we're about to get very nerdy here. In Pride and Prejudice, the 5 sisters from oldest to youngest is Jane, Lizzie, Mary, Kitty, and Lydia. And so in this book, we have the same 5 sisters, but they all have different names, but they all start with the same letter. So you've got Joss for Jane, you have Lindy for Lizzie, you've got Marnie for Mary, and then you've got Kat instead of Kitty, and Lola instead of Lydia. And so like that was just really interesting. But as I was reading, I was realizing that the 2 older sisters, Joss and Lindy, are both married, and they're married to people with the same name and or first letter as the people that they are married to in like Pride and Prejudice. So Jane Bennet marries Charles Bingley, and so Joss is married to a woman named, I think her name's Charlotte, but it starts with a C, and then Lindy is married to a guy named Will, and Darcy's name in Pride and Prejudice is William. And so there's just like little things like that, and I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. This book has one of the most toxic mothers I have ever read about. And there's a lot with her, and like you just kind of feel for her, and she like deals with so much from her family, and you just kind of want to give her a hug. And so where I'm at now, I will say huge trigger warnings for miscarriages in this book, because that is a topic that just popped up into the story all of a sudden, and I didn't expect us to get there. And then all of the, like, I thought I was getting into a very fluffy kind of contemporary story that was going to be kind of like, if you like Pride and Prejudice, this is for you. Hint to like the Pride and Prejudice fans. But there's so much more to this. Like there is a lot that Marnie goes through. Like I said, very toxic mother. There's a lot that she has to deal with her family and with her, like specifically her mom. So like all important things, I'm enjoying this so much, but like there's definitely tougher subjects than I thought there was going to be. But this is the book that I'm going to pick for mood read. But because I'm almost done with this book and I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to update you next, I'm going to go ahead and do another roll really quick, because I'm going to finish this book soon, so I might as well have a second one like ready to go. So let me do that real quick. So roll number 2. Oh no! It was too good to be true. All right, 6. So we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is a multiple POV book. Okay. So we got multiple point of view, which there's a book that I was really hoping to read next, but I don't think it's got multiple point of view. But I was able to get something from my TBR, and that is My Imaginary Mary. And this is by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This is the most recent book in their Mary series. They've done a Janie's series, which is 3 books based on Janes from history and literature. This one specifically follows Mary Shelley and Ada Lovelace, who is the daughter of Lord Byron. And so Mary Shelley, it's before she becomes Mary Shelley, but Mary is basically like just wants to be a writer, and she ends up teaming up with Ada, who is really into mechanics and like engineering and stuff, and she's trying to create this automaton. I can never say that word, automaton. And all of these books have some sort of magical twist to it, so the 2 of them may not be descendants from magical beings of some sort, but it's those 2, and then I think there's a 3rd person who is like trying to like figure out how they did this automaton kind of thing. But each like chapter has a different person, so that one's Mary, and then you'll get throughout the book and you'll have chapters I'm only finding Mary chapters, but I swear there's more. Oh, there's one here by Pan, which is the automaton that they created. And then I'm sure there's Ada chapters. I'm just not getting any of them because that would be too easy just to prove that I can do. Anyway, it's written by multiple people is what I'm trying to say. There's definitely multiple points of view here. Ha! There you go. Ada. So I think that's the book that we're going to pick up next. But of course I got a double, so I'm just going to do another roll while I'm here. It's great. I was trying to get ahead of the curve, and I've just made this harder on myself. All right, the next roll, because why not? All right, it is 7. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, lowest rated. Okay. Okay, so we got one that I can't fit anything from my TBR. Of course we can't. So it's lowest rated on your TBR. So I went to Goodreads, and I'll plop it here, but I went to Goodreads and went to the books that are on my TBR and what was lowest rated that I owned. And the lowest rated book is this giant chunk of a book, which is the entire bind-up of Stupid Love Comedy, which is a manga. I don't remember exactly what it's about. It's been a long time. It follows our main character, Suzu, who's an author, and she ends up getting a new boss or a new editor who's super hot, and so it's their budding romance maybe. But I looked up online, and like I said, this is a bind-up, but this manga only has 3 volumes. So I went through to see where the first volume ended, and there's actually parts in this book that show you where they end. So it's the first four chapters in this book. So we're gonna go here. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm only gonna do the first volume of this instead of all of this, just because A, I want to be nicer on myself, and B, I'm gonna go volume by volume just to see if I didn't get the bind up, what it would be. So yeah, we're gonna go volume 1 of this, which is a third of this book, and I think it's about 170 something pages. I feel like I saw it on Goodreads somewhere. So that's what we're gonna do. So I mean, this could have gone much worse than it did, but we're gonna only half read this, and then I might read the rest of this over the course of the next month or so. So I'm gonna read this full bind up, don't you worry, but for the purpose of this prompt, I'm only gonna read the first volume. So I have some plans for this week. This is my plans for the week. I don't really know what I'm gonna talk to you next. It's about dinner time, so I'm gonna go see if the hubby needs any help with making the dinner. And then there's games on, so I'm probably gonna make a good way through the rest of Being Mary Bennett, because like I said, I'm obsessed with that. I really just want answers. And then we'll pick up my Imaginary Mary. So that is the plan. This backfired so fast, but we've got a plan for the week. Let's see if I can get through these 3 at least this week, because at this point we're just adding a prompt on. The first week I did 1 prompt, last week I kind of did 2 prompts, and this week we're doing 3. So let's see what happens.
Looking for myself, I'm staring at my shadow. Am I gonna be safe in getting through tomorrow? When I throw me down, you can lead me to the side. You're still raising me up, and when I look aside, she guides me with a sign and light of me. It ain't over, it ain't over, it ain't over, it ain't over. I'm not done, I just want me to find it, 'cause I'm not done. find it, I will find my way. Gotta keep looking. If it's not fair, gotta go again. Wish to get over it, cause when I look aside, she's always by my side. She guides me with a sign and lie to me. It ain't over, it ain't over, it ain't over, it ain't over.
Hello, so I'm here to wrap up this vlog for you guys. I'm wrapping it up a little bit earlier on Friday because we have weekend plans, so we're literally about to leave town and go visit Chris's parents for the weekend. I'll talk about that more a little bit later, but I do have some updates because, as I'm sure you saw, I finished a couple of books and I've done pretty decently in this week. So early this week I will have finished Being Mary Bennett by J.C. Peterson. This was great. I really enjoyed the ending. I thought it was quite fun and very perfect. It had a couple of ambiguous moments, but it was still really, really cute. I don't really have a whole lot to add to what I mentioned at the beginning of this vlog about how I felt about it and how I really enjoyed it. I did end up giving it 5 stars. I think it was really, really good. I think this is a great book for anybody. You don't have to enjoy Pride and Prejudice to enjoy this book, but I feel like if you do like Pride and Prejudice, or at least you know the story, then this is going to... There's going to be a few extra little bits and pieces that's going to make the reading experience more enjoyable, but it doesn't subtract from the story if you don't know who that is, because anytime you need to know a specific thing, it is mentioned and they kind of talk about it in this book. But yeah, it was really, really cute. I really enjoyed it. Fun coming of age kind of story. I looked up and this author does have another book coming out next year, which follows Lola, which is the youngest sister. So it doesn't say it's part of the same series, but it's basically the same world, so it's kind of the same series. So we're definitely going to be investigating that when that comes out. But I really enjoyed this one. This was so much fun. I'm really glad I picked this up. I'm really glad that I finally ended up reading it this month, and it's super cute. And this was such a good decision. So this one I gave 5 stars to, which I feel is not really a surprise. And then last night I finished My Imaginary Mary by the Lady Janies. This one ended up getting 4 stars from me. There's a lot about this book that I really enjoyed, but I think the novelty of the idea of these books has started to wear off on me because it was the very first time I read a Janie book. It was amazing. I loved it. I thought it was so funny. And while every single book since has been funny for respective reasons, they're a little outlandish, so you kind of have to suspend belief a little bit. But I definitely laughed out loud multiple times reading this book, so I very much enjoyed it. But the novelty, I think, of this idea is kind of wearing off. Am I going to continue with this series? Absolutely. There's still a 3rd one that's hopefully going to come out sometime next year. I feel I read somewhere that it follows Typhoid Mary, so we'll see about that one. But this was really cool. There's a lot of literature references in this book. So because we have Mary Shelley, or I guess at this point she's Mary Wollstonecraft, Wollstonecraft? I can never say that name right. And then of course we have Ada Lovelace, who is not Ada Lovelace. She's Lord Byron's daughter, so she's Ada Byron. And then Pan, and there's a lot of Peter Pan jokes with him. There's a lot of coming of age moments. There's a lot of twists and turns, as there usually are with these types of books. There's definitely that moment at the end of the book. You've got less than 50 pages left. You've got just a handful of chapters, and they need to wrap things up very, very quickly. So all of these books do kind of end, I don't want to say abruptly because they don't end abruptly, but they do kind of end quickly. So I still enjoyed my time reading this one. I still really enjoyed this series, but I think this might be one that I'm kind of glad there's only one more at this point, because these are very I have to be in the right mood for them. And I think I was in the right mood, maybe not when I started. By the time I finished this book, I was definitely in the right mood for it. It was just kind of and it was just kind of fun and funny, and it had its funny moments, especially because the character of Pan, which is the automaton that kind of comes to life a little bit, he is learning what all these things are, and his big thing is he takes everything very, very literally, especially language. And so if you say a hyperbole, it's raining cats and dogs, he's going to run to the window and expect that cats and dogs are going to come falling out of the sky. And so the conversations with him were very interesting and very funny because he asks questions about stuff, and it's a way that like our two main characters are like, how do we explain this topic that is very easy for us to understand, but like someone who's literally been alive for like a day or two has no idea what's going on, and so they have to kind of explain it. So there's lots of moments that I really enjoyed about this book. I think this is definitely one of my more favorite books in this Janie's and Mary's series that these authors have done, but I don't think my life is like crazy altered, I guess, since I read this one. So enjoyed my time reading it, but I don't think this is one that like is going to stick in my memory. But this one was for multiple POVs, and we had 3 different ones in this one. I think I forgot to tell you what this one was for, but it was mood read. So we read both of those, and then I did read about half of the first volume of This Is Upside Down, a stupid love comedy. There are 4 chapters, I guess, if you will, in the first volume, and I read the first 2 last night. So I'm not sure how many pages I am into it, probably close to 80, but I'm really enjoying this. So this follows our 2 main characters, Susie Sukura, who's a very lazy author. That's her right there. She draws manga. Specifically, like, I don't remember the types of manga, so I don't exactly know how to explain them to you, but basically she's been drawing and creating one type of manga, and her editor's a little bit tired of her missing deadlines and like pushing everything up really late, so she stays up late at night and falls asleep during meetings and things like that. So he basically says, there's this new editor and I'm passing you off to them. Also, you're changing the type of manga you're doing. And so that's this editor. And so they start off very rough because she overhears a conversation that he has been talking like on the phone to somebody else, and he's basically explaining like how awful the situation is and how he really doesn't like her and how like this is just really stupid and why are we here. And so like she overhears this conversation and he sees that she overhears this conversation, so like any kind of fakeness that he would have had to like make her feel more comfortable immediately goes away, and they're very like rough to each other. But like as you see their progression grow, because like she's very talented and everyone sees that she's very talented, but like he doesn't have that yet, so he's like watching her and her process and how things work, and he's trying to make her a better mangaka, I think is how you pronounce it, but like the person who draws and creates the mangas, and kind of see that, and like he's starting to see her and like really starts to see her art and her storytelling and things like that come out, and then like they start to grow towards each other, which is really very cute. So this is one that I'm very much enjoying. I could see myself flying through this because honestly, it was super late and I wanted to start it, and I started it, and then all of a sudden I was 2 chapters in and I was like, how did we get here? But I'm kind of obsessed with it. But it's giving me the same vibes. I think it's the office setting of The Hating Game. There's nothing about this story that is like related or like even remotely similar to The Hating Game and plot, except for that it's these 2 people working together in an office. But the chemistry that's immediately there between our 2 characters is very reminiscent in my head of The Hating Game. So I really enjoyed this. I thought it was so good, and I can't wait to dive into the rest of this. I don't think I'm going to get to it this weekend. I think it's going to be a little bit later in the week, but I'm bringing this over into next week, and I'll definitely finish it, like maybe not the very first thing, but really quickly in the week. But it's so good. I've just really enjoyed it. I think it's very good. So so far I had a pretty good week. I got 2 books done that I really needed to get done, and then I got through most of this manga that I probably wouldn't have started anytime soon without having rolled it. So very excited about that. We'll see how next week goes. It's the very last week of the month, and I've got at least 4 or 5 books that I would like to get through. It's not going to happen, but we can hope, right? So this is the plan. We'll see what happens, but I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. It was a little bit better this week. I've just sucked at vlogging here recently, but I hope that you enjoyed whatever this turned out to be. Please let me know how your reading in September is going. Are you like me and you can't believe that we are already at the end of the month? Because to me, it feels like the 2nd week of September, and I don't understand how we're almost in October, but let me know how your reading is going. Let me know how you're feeling about the fall and all of that fun stuff. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there as well as other fun bookish links, so don't forget to check all of that out, and I will see you guys in my next video.